Byron Senior. And I'm Byron Benjamin, so Byron Junior, DJ, as they call me. So this is like a little history thing, little family history. My musical gene comes from my dad for the most part. My granddad did quite a lot musically as well. I'd say this is where the biggest pull comes from. I'll get straight to it. When did you start? How did you start? Who did you grow up? Who's the singer in the family? Your mom or your dad?
My dad was a preacher. My mum tells me my dad was a little drummer when he was young. He used to play the drums. Essentially, my mum, she has this singing voice. I remember when I was a kid, when she sang, it was like she got this natural vibrato, like Marvin Sapp, feathery and sweet, just singing in church.
But by the time I came around, she was still singing in the choir, but I didn't know enough musically to hear it to that degree.
She just never got exposed to becoming a soloist or to polishing it.
She sang in the church choir and she sang soprano in the church choir. So on this new project, there's a song that we're going to sing called Daughter of Zion. We're singing it in the original key, the group's singing it in the original key, and basically she sang that. Back in the day, there was no transpose. So that's natural voice, all original key. She boxed that on the video.
I actually didn't realise she was a soprano, but then again, Mum did scream high when she shouted at you.
Well, so that's where all that comes from. Well, I say the singing and the music side is her thing.
Musically, yeah. Dad used to play the guitar back when he was in his 20s, I believe, back home in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And he would gather a crowd because that's all they had for entertainment.
But I thought he said that it was the accordion. He said it was the accordion.
Was it the accordion?
The accordion.
No, he had a Hawaiian guitar that he brought.
Oh, is that the one you put in your lap with the bottle in your...
Yeah. So he's always been... Yeah. So in fact, your dad was instrumental.
So did he ever play it in church?
No.
Now in terms of your siblings, so he's number 13, the youngest out of the 13. And so he's a twin as well. So him and Uncle Dennis, they're the last two, 12 and 13. Both of them can sing, and you always said Uncle Dennis was a natural singer.
Oh, naturally. When we were children, couldn't shut him up. Go to bed singing, wake up singing. Intellectually mute regarding music, I was always thinking about something. In fact, when I realised Dennis could sing, I must have been about 10, 11. My head went onto all the things. Your mum.
Well, there's a glory to God, because if it weren't for her, you two listen, I would be here.
So Dennis sang constantly. He had a natural voice.
And that's funny, because that's like Kareem, the oldest daughter. She's constantly, when they're growing up in her house, all she ever did was scream and sing constantly.
Dennis's voice was akin to Fred Hammond, and
well, when I see him sing in the house, it seems effortless.
Yeah. And this has got, when Paul Lee said that to me, this has gone back 25 years, 30 years.
Listen, this is the problem what we have here, is that we can all do these things, we're naturally gifted, but we're just put in we're not in the right environment to cultivate the gift, you know what I mean?
That's part of it, but the other part is we need to self-motivate.
True, right, fair enough. Yeah, so in terms of the rest of your siblings, because you said that them guys used to play in a reggae band as well, and tour.
Essentially for me, I really got my teeth into music from my eldest brother Kenneth.
Yeah.
He formed a group, he's passed away now, God rest his soul. When I was at school, about 11, he brought his first group home because he'd left the church and come back, formed a group, and I used to tour the country for a long time.
Who they did?
Yeah, it was called the Soul Revival, the Soul Revivers.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a full band, and this is going back way back in the early 70s. This was. So he brought this band to the house, and that triggered the rest of us to want to do music.
Yeah.
And then Clive and Adrian started a band called Three Rats, a reggae band. They played all over the country.
All the boys basically were somewhat singers or musicians.
Most of us, yeah. Yeah.
So then going back to church, so did they all perform in church as well?
Nah, not the older ones.
So who introduced you to playing guitar?
Well, I was introduced. I caught on. Kenneth is like, he played and sang like Chuck Berry.
Okay.
Kenneth brought you home. Clive then started a group. Clive started to play guitar. Actually, Clive taught me my first guitar chord, which was C. Thank you, Clive. And then the first thing I learned to play was, oh, the grand old Duke of York.
L-O.
Has 10,000 men. March us up to the top of the hill and then march us down again. Yeah, that's the very first song I learned to play.
And he taught you that?
Clive.
Okay. And now, so on this kind of guitar, or the electric guitar, acoustic or electric?
Electric.
Okay.
Electric. So Kenneth returned to church, formed a band. Clive picked up on that. Clive formed a band. Well, Kenneth had his band going. He formed a little trio with me, him, and Dennis. We did a song in church called "When the Road is Rocky, Wait for the Light to Shine, Wait for the Light to Shine." The church went wild. We thought we were like stars. Like, we thought we were the Jackson 5. So me and Kenneth and Dennis did something like that. We learned a couple of songs and played in church.
And that's where you kind of, and it started to grow
That's
from there.
where I felt, okay, this feels good. Praising the Lord.
You played electric.
Electric.
And Uncle Dennis played.
Dennis played the bass.
And Uncle Kenneth played.
Electric.
But so 2 electrics.
Yeah. So there's 3 of us. Kenneth sang and played. Dennis played the bass. And Kenneth taught me to play the melody to that song at the time.
Okay, and he played around you,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Okay. You know, that's good though. The fact that you're one of the second oldest brother.
Yeah.
And the gap's like what?
Oh, 20 years.
20-year gap,
Yeah.
and he's nurturing that and cultivating that talent. Okay, so that's the history of how you got into playing instruments. Growing up, to me, I remember the guitar being in the corner of the room, the electric guitar. It was a black one with a white like panel thing on there. I don't know what to call it.
Scratch board.
Yeah, and then that's like in the earliest memories. But I remember vividly, well, specifically the piano.
Where? Pedro?
Yeah, Pedro, the keyboard,
Which
black
one?
one. So I remember you playing, like kind of somewhat playing, like running through the night, and Lord, Lord, oh Lord.
Oh yeah, grief.
To hear the Father say, "You are God." Yeah.
So that song was about God calling his son God.
All right. Well, go. How does it start? Lord, Lord, go on.
Oh gee, yeah, I sing for a lot now. Lord, Lord, oh Lord. Lord, Lord, oh Lord. Ha! It's been too long.
But before you did all that, you obviously sang in the choirs and stuff, teenage and that's what you told me. So you sang in the choirs and stuff.
Yeah.
So what was the first choir? Was this like just a youth choir or whatever?
First choir was I youth then? Katie Benton.
Kathy Benton.
Kathy Benton, yeah. Was I been about 15?
In that time period, in terms of church, how was music and stuff? Because obviously you guys had rocked the church at the Jackson 3. Where did we go from there? Like, what was the next steps? Did we like? Obviously now we went from choirs to praise teams to groups. Obviously there was no praise teams back then. You went from the trio.
So we had the church, well, the young people's choir, which was run by Kate Benton or Kathy Benton. That ran for quite a few years. We sang various places. We did a lot of Handel's Messiah type stuff material.
Yeah.
When we had our black leaders that took over the choir, that's when we got more cultural material.
I'm assuming that's like Hawkins and Crouch stuff.
Yeah.
Like looking back, what was that sound like? Was it a really good, unified sound kind of thing?
Yeah, because we trained, we rehearsed, and we rehearsed every week. It used to be sometimes every Friday night, or it would be every Sabbath after Divine Service.
After Divine Service?
Yeah, every week after Divine Service.
In the time back, like
Yeah, for about 3 or 4 years. So we sounded good. I suppose if you listen to the CDs or the tapes now, if ever there was a recording, it might not sound so good. But then, to be honest, we did sound okay because we worked for it. We practiced, we rehearsed.
Okay, what was the name of that choir?
Oxford Street Youth Choir.
Oh mate, of course it makes sense. Yeah, we took over it years later. So, and that was obviously your Andre Crouch styles, your Hawkins stuff.
Yeah. And then that youth choir, then we became, when we grew up as older people, we got married and started courting, got married, had children. Then that same choir was also but much older.
Yeah.
And it became the Cornerstone Choir. That ran for many, many years, and then it just fizzled out because people moved away, got married and whatever.
About that point, because obviously I know you're a songwriter, as we just spoke about, when did that start coming in?
Right, so at that point, after the music fizzled out and the choir thing fizzled out, around that point, more seriously, I decided to become a songwriter.
What made you want to decide? Because like bearing in mind, no one in the family were songwriters per se.
Well, my big brother Colton,
There you go.
when we were kids,
Say the right things, you get the right answers.
I remember when we were at home, he was formally trained to play the piano, even though for the reggae band he was the organist. But because he was formally trained, there was something about him that was more in depth into music.
Yeah.
And so he'd always be penning stuff and writing stuff down, lyrics, and writing little songs that they went nowhere. But the idea of becoming a songwriter stemmed from there.
Yeah. Which is funny because his son So Joseph, well, we're the same age group.
Yeah.
He writes his own bars and spits bars as
there
well.
you
You know
go.
what I mean? So
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and that's the thoroughbred of it. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So when I decided to write my first song, I thought about Carlton because I remember him doing it when I was a kid. My first song was about. I remember your mum laughing at this. My first song was literally about 6 pages long.
Man wrote a novel, you know.
Yeah, and I tried, so I couldn't get it shorter. And I remember the strapline on that song, the main theme running through it was something like "Down at the Mill."
So this was a gospel song.
Yeah, it was a gospel song.
Down at the mill.
Yeah, right. You got a clue what I was talking about. It took me years to learn to write concise and didn't even have melody either. And I was doing it on typewriter. Brother. Yeah, brother typewriter.
That is funny. That is hilarious.
I remember my first song I wrote, 6 pages long. I wrote it by hand with a pen. And then I said to your mum, Rose, can you type this out for me? And she did, and she just don't come back. So since then I've written my first song, wrote many a song since then. My song, Who is the King of Glory, was sang 3 times by the Eternal Choir.
Yeah. I remember some of this. So before you get to the King of Glory, so I remember some of this stuff. So like I mentioned earlier, the early songs like "Running Through the Night," "I Know You're There," or "Jacob, Hold On." There's a Jacob, which is high in my opinion. But yeah, I remember that song, and I remember you had a booklet full, like a whole case full of songs, and stuff, songs and CDs that was in our house. Like this, we had a hi-fi. Was it Akai, the hi-fi system?
Yeah, the Akai.
Yeah. And that was always ringing through the house. So we'd hook up the Akai system to the sound system to the TV. So when Lion King came on, like the opening scene when Scar hits the rat, life's not fair. So he hooked the whole thing up, and he used to rewind it time and time just to hear the thud of Scar's footprint on the mics.
I love real sound effects.
Yeah, I remember my earliest gospel music. The earliest gospel I heard you play would have been John P. Key. That's the one that sticks out the most. VIP. Going up and down, Jesus, He's My King. Jesus. Yeah, and stuff like, and obviously Pages of Life 1 and 2, Fred Hammond. But what hooked me, what I got hooked on was the Richest Maud.
Oh really?
Yeah,
wow.
that's always stuck. From then right the way till now, Richest Maud. And yeah, and then the Andre Crouch.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, well, that's what hooked me. But obviously for you, yours was the Andre Crouch so much so that you ended up sounding like him.
Oh.
But I feel like it was like, right, if he's gonna sound like him, it would have been him.
Really? I don't want to sound like Andre Crouch. I want to sound like myself.
But yeah, you know, everyone sounds like, you know what I mean.
So Andre Crouch,
yeah,
as you know, I actually did meet him in the end.
Yeah, I remember. I wasn't there, so.
And when I met him, he gave his number, called him up, and actually I thought he ain't gonna answer the phone. Rang him. He answered the phone. I says, "Is this Andre Crouch?" He goes, "This is he." I'm like, you know, I just got stuck.
You did like, you start sweating because
I put the phone down.
Right. Right. One thing not to do is put the phone down.
Put the phone down, man. I didn't know what to say, and I thought, nah, I can't do that. And 10 minutes later, I phoned back and introduced, compose myself. Introduce myself again and say, "Oh, this is Byron Taylor from the UK." And he's, "Oh, Byron, I know it." And yeah, we spoke a lot on several occasions on the phone. But he gave me a massive boost music-wise.
It followed down so like some of the songs I wrote, like in terms of studying how to write, I went back and read his lyrics and his format. So for example, earliest Andre Crouch for me in terms of what I consciously remember would have been the Pray album.
Oh yeah.
Lord, I thank you for the morning. Lord, I thank you for a brand new dawning. Lord, I thank you for another day to sing your praise. Yeah, so that whole album there.
Oh, that song. If you listen to that song, when you the music.
Yeah. And do you remember the song Distraction on there?
Huh?
Distraction, the song Distraction.
Oh, yeah,
Distraction.
Yeah.
Don't you do it? No.
Yeah. But, production. Wicked.
Yeah. For me, it was an Andre Crouch thing. The Winans video. A friend of mine and yours.
That from the Return album.
Yeah, on video. Because everything was on VHS back then, video. You had the Elvis Presley going on a lot as well.
Oh, I absolutely love Elvis Presley.
Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash. Why me Lord?
Johnny
what
Cash.
have I ever done to deserve? Is it Johnny Cash? To deserve even?
Oh, No, that's Cliff Richard
Oh, is it Cliff Richard?
on
Okay.
Small Corners album. Oh my goodness, he's taking me back from school.
And he's on all of, he had, I think we still got the vinyls album, the LPs.
Cliff Richard's Small Corners album, the production and the lyrical writing on that is something. It's like way ahead of its time.
In terms of Andre Crouch, who introduced you to Andre Crouch?
Yeah, actually, I was at home. I remember, good question. Yeah, I was at home, and my sister Joy brought me this tape. This is Byron. I bought myself a brand new hi-fi in the late 70s. Trust he taught the catalogue. Don't even think I finished paying for it, you know. But it's one of those hi-fis that sound really, really nice. From my bedroom. Banging sound.
Oh, you bought one of those?
Yeah. Banging sound. My sister Joy comes to the bedroom one day and says, Byron, listen to this. And I listened to it for months and months and months. The very first song I heard was bringing back the sunshine, bringing back blue skies. And for months, the whole album, I listened to this album thinking it was a white band. Because you grow up in those days thinking that white people are the best at everything. This is how you're conditioned.
Yeah.
And it sounded so clinical, so clean. And when I realized that Andre Crouch and the Disciples were a black group, I was like, no.
But they didn't have a typical black sound, no, did they necessarily?
No, but
obviously
at the time
yeah.
we weren't seeing stuff on the TV.
Yeah, okay. So I guess I'm saying
It was all cassettes, or
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So so my sister Joy gave me that tape, and that's how I got to hear about Andre Crouch. And from then I was hooked. And the Winans, Dennis gave me a tape from the Winans that he got from his friend.
You know what's funny? Pause. That all of his musical things, people are giving it to him. Like he's just been handed everything, handed the guitar, handed the Winans, handed Andre Crouch. You know what I mean? Everyone's just handing you stuff.
Yeah. But Dennis gave me the Winans cassette, and I took it to work. I was rinsed it in the car for weeks. And then I found out, and the very first song I heard on that tape that Dennis gave me was Another Day. Another day
I could not face.
I could not face without your goodness, your mercy, your grace. And I thought, who are these guys?
Yeah.
And then I realized it was a black. I mean, no.
So you guys really thought that white people ruled the world, bro?
Absolutely. That was how we were washed. I said, them beard.
So is that so? I'm assuming your mum and dad, when they played music in the house, it was just white people playing for the most part. Is it the ground?
The ground. Well, actually, yeah, because the first album I saw Mum bring home was Jim Reeves. Then there was Glenn Miller. Then there was Pat Boone. The nail in the coffin for me when Mum brought on Elvis Presley. Oh my word. Yo, Elvis Presley's first gospel album.
Is that with His Truth Is Marching On that you're always on about?
No, that was not it then. No,
Okay.
That came later.
Just for context, Auntie Joy also sang. Auntie Joy didn't really sing in choirs, but she was one of them congregational singers, or is one of those congregational singers who hold the harmony, hold the soprano line.
Joy was like just hitting notes and she wouldn't make not even an expression.
Yeah, but that's what she's always been on that, and Casita does the same thing.
I
too.
recorded to send it to you.
Yeah, so Casita is one of she got the four children, 3 daughters and 1 boy, and all 4 of them can sing. Racine sings with me still.
Actually, I'll tell you, Gloria was a brilliant singer as well.
I remember you mentioning this.
Yeah. Absolutely brilliant singer. Brilliant voice, but she just...
And Auntie Madge can sing because she sang in the church choir. She still sing. Like when I was sitting next to her at church once, could hear her singing that alto. Good. I was just like, oh yeah. It's just cool and smooth. You know what I mean? I was just like, okay. So going back to the choir situation, you also formed your own choirs because I remember that. I remember you forming the choirs, and I remember.
In the Benefit Choir?
Nah, before then. This is when we was at Oxford Street.
Really?
Yeah, do you remember when you had your niece Jackie
Oh,
singing?
right, that's right, yeah.
And you and Helen were in there still. I remember the song you sang, the song you was learning, but this is back when everyone did covers, was Kurt Franklin, It's Raining. It's raining, raining.
Oh, it was called Send It All Down.
Send it all down.
Yeah.
Down. And then you used to put on the concerts as well. So it's all about music in this household, in this family.
Yeah. Praise the Lord.
Do you think that the whole experience in church was good in terms of music? Was it a good thing? Did it hold you back? Did it elevate? Yeah. Was it worth it?
Do you want the truth? The whole truth or nothing but the truth?
You might want to leave some names out.
When you look back in life and you see what you become in terms of your skill and your talent, those experiences, you have to say thank God for them. Because if it wasn't for those experiences, you wouldn't be what you are now. There've been some bad experiences, but as an older person now, I have to say, the people that you grew up with in church and that you had differences of opinion with about issues and things, it's because you're a family. And sometimes as family you have misunderstandings of this, that, the other. Music in church, by and large, it was good for us, but it had its challenges.
Yeah.
It became political.
So when you say political, as in like political in our era is, you can't have drums in church.
That kind of thing, yeah.
Drums and no drums.
Yeah.
You know, this, that, yeah.
And the style of music you should play, who should play, who shouldn't play.
Which is somewhat valid in terms of skill levels.
Well, yeah, I suppose. But
If it's not that, then
yeah, exactly. Yeah, if it was that, then I'd struggle. But at least I'd understand. Yeah, okay, maybe I'm not good enough or whatever. But sometimes you can get people that feel like they're more than the next person. And
what you're saying now, I'm like, one of my biggest prayers is that like I'm always teachable. Can be.
Absolutely.
I never get above. Even if I get to that grade 8 piano, someone gonna tell me like, all right, you grade 8 piano, but you still could do this better.
That's so refreshing to hear you say, son.
Well, I mean, I hope so, because listen, I'm not trying. Nebuchadnezzar got humbled by God.
Because and exactly that, because growing up in church, when I really decided to take music serious, but growing up in church, yeah, there were people that thought they invented music. And that was difficult, very difficult, but because sometimes it's the people with the loudest voice that get heard, but doesn't mean that they're the best at what they do. But it's just because they shout louder, and you just say, okay, get on with it, crack on. But the problem with that is that if they're doing what they're doing and it's not working, you get the whole flock following them anyway. And so it distorts the journey. You end up where the church ends up where it shouldn't have ended up. For example, 30, 40 years on, it's ridiculously disappointing that our central churches in Wolverhampton, no one's
Blossomed and flourished and taken off.
Yeah. And the talent's there
First of all,
more than.
I'm trying to do that.
And that's because we've missed the vision.
So, in all of that years of up until now, was there ever really like someone to say, this is how you're supposed to do it, cultivate this is it, you good, or was it just like every man for themselves?
In all fairness, I don't think we did have that, to be honest. If you think about it, Adventism is really conservative.
Yeah.
And where you needed to be to make a mark in music in the industry, Adventists wouldn't have thought that far.
Also, basically talking about, if you, for example, in comparison to gospel music, and that's what we listen to and that's what we want to emulate, but no one was there to say this is where you need to go.
We didn't understand branding, we didn't understand marketing, and those things are crucial if you're going to make it in any business. We know now the church organisation runs as a business. We have business meetings, we talk about finances, and when you have new talented groups come up, then their parents or if they have a manager, should think business. Think marketing, think about the brand, who's your marketplace, who we're trying to target.
Yeah.
And that will start to refocus you onto, well, how are we going to make this happen? But that never dawned on us in the early years.
So then that's why everyone was kind of, nothing ever went further than what it was.
That's part of it. I think the biggest part of why they went further is because you had some people that was busy trying to be at the top.
Stay there, not bring anyone else up.
Yeah, but we'll just the Americans from early on, they got their together. You know what I mean? The Americans from early on, they got their stuff together. The black churches in America early on. Look how early these guys were printing albums. And listen to their albums now. They weren't fantastic compared to now. Yeah. But at least they got entrepreneurial and did something with it.
Yeah.
Whereas over here, us as Adventists, we rather fight about it than work at it.
Or stop it, as opposed to even try it. Yeah. In terms of Adventist groups, are there that many? No. Well, not really. We've got like Stephen Manders and Decree that's come out of Oakwood. Take Six, some of them were Adventist or something like that. Dynamic Praise Day, Aeolians and them guys.
Yeah.
Would you say, so then you benefited from the whole thing then? Or would you say, you feel like you were definitely held back? Do you have yourself to blame? For some of this stuff?
Yeah, I blame myself for not being more motivated.
I don't know if blame is the right word either.
Yeah, but I do, because but then again, I'm not sure if blame's right, because sometimes you can be a product of your environment, and the things that you want to do, circumstances and situations don't allow you to do it.
Yeah.
It could be finance, it could be poverty, you could be broke back. Might not have enough positive people around you. So yeah, there's those things as well.
From what some of these stories I've heard, like over the past kind of thing, I've learned from yourself in the sense of like I've seen what you wanted to do and what you've been trying to do. I've let that fuel me to do it for myself. And but all right, maybe you didn't get to do it, but yeah, I'm doing it too.
Yeah, and I'm
You know
so
what I mean?
I'm
Like,
so proud.
Let's you know what I mean. There you are. It's rubbed off on me.
You know, sometimes you look into a white, you ask questions, but no, I don't know. Maybe you see God's hand in things later on down the years. I'm still doing music. I've just hooked up with a new producer this week, and we're going to be doing some big things. And that's a satisfying feeling, is that you're carrying it on.
But you know, it's funny. Like as you mentioned that it all came late. I say late, but my true love and like getting to it came quite. I feel like I was a late bloomer in terms of like in my mid to late 20s. I had the love for it growing up in my teens, but like I thought it was always, a dream that wasn't reachable, or it was just too far. It was for Americans only. I didn't really try, but I thought, well, why not one time? If you're trying to do it, you've done it. I've seen you put the choirs together. Let me have a go as well. I've seen people do it. Why not?
Yeah. Most of the successful people that were really, really successful, they had an early start.
Yeah.
Most of the good ones.
From performing.
Yeah.
In performing.
4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
The Jacksons and so forth. In terms of us, when I say us, Adventism, it's not something that we push our children into in a serious way.
So it's like a product of our environment in a negative sense, because there wasn't just that happening.
For some reason, the Adventist Church doesn't see music as an important form of worship, or an important enough form of worship.
Yeah.
They don't even see music, gospel music, as a commodity. Whenever our best singers are coming to something, I said, well, we should be collecting offerings for this particular child. She sings really, really well. She's going to be fantastic. And one brother says to me, no. Well, what happens when she becomes famous? She's not going to remember us. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Let it be known that the church needs to support their own.
Yeah, this
and
is
every
true.
day,
I've heard that said.
You can't have a hymn book full of non-Adventist songwriters, and then you've got your own, and you just don't want to support it because it's not in the hymn book.
Yeah.
Let me go back a second. In terms of we spoke about you playing instruments and stuff. So many of you guys don't know that I was supposed to start playing the keyboard as well, which I did start, and I dropped off like not very long afterwards because my mum says don't force them, which is one of the biggest regrets of my life as a songwriter now, because I'm like, it would have helped big time.
Now, I remember as a kid when I was at school, 18, 19, when I was going to your nan's house, around about that time, your uncle's family just started to play the piano. And there's many times he didn't want to go on the piano. He was scratching the walls and bouncing the wallpaper. I don't want to play, I don't want to practice.
So that's the regret. I'm like, Mum, Dad, why didn't you force us? Like, you could have overridden that man at the house and all. And bearing in mind, she got to grade 4.
You know,
she got to grade 4 and then packed the lot in piano. I try and roll reverse, trying to get on the piano. She's like, no. I was reading my school reports from like reception onwards, and it said on there in music lessons, Byron does not like music.
Oh, really?
He's not keen. He has a sweet singing voice, but he's not keen.
I remember when you were 3 years old, song service at church, 3, 4 years old, Ruth Gray and someone was doing song service. And you'd run up there, you're there bouncing, and it's like, and the whole church was like, look at BJ, look at BJ. And as soon as the music started, you were there. So I had a feeling something was going to happen.
Okay, so in terms of my songwriting, I remember you telling me about doing like the rhyming method in terms of line, not line for line, but like every other line kind of situation. I jumped on some of that where I could, and then I also compared notes with like Kurt Carr as one of my biggest influences, and just wanted to see what they do too, and marry it where you can and see what works and what doesn't work. The whole verse, chorus, bridge, vamp situation, but obviously not every song just goes like that.
That's right.
So you just kind of figure it out.
It's about creating something new. But your song, the one that you played to me the other day, the arrangement on that vocal arrangement is fantastic.
But I think for me, in terms of vocal arrangements, I'm trying to not just like, in terms of harmony.
When I say vocal, I mean your lyrical arrangement and the melody arrangements for the vocals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to necessarily, like, in terms of harmonies in regards to that,
Yeah.
I'm not just always trying to figure out what I'm hearing. and just kind of mirror. They all mirror as one goes up, everyone goes up kind of situation. So I've been kind of trying to study or figure out how hymn harmonies are written, because they're not obvious. They're not obvious harmonies. How we harmonise in church is not as how harmonies are written in on the sheet music. So I'm just like, that's a different way to do things, and it's just kind of a bit more interesting kind of thing for me personally. So I'm trying to figure out how that's written. I guess it's probably the study of classical music or so, which I'm trying to figure out how to learn how to read music properly as well.
And I'm running away from that because I'm too lazy.
Yeah, but it's not even hard. I would say it's hard, not easy, but it's not as bad as you think. When you realise where C is on a sheet music, you're like, everything else just falls into place.
I'm a late starter academically. My brain's just opening up now.
Same.
And I now feel like now's the time I could do many things that I couldn't do years ago. So you never know.
But you see the point to it now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So like in terms, like he says to me, for like reteaching parts and stuff, once it's on the sheet music, you can't go wrong kind of thing. You just play it like for like kind of thing in the brain. Sometimes you just forgetting stuff.
For the most part, sheet music is a recording.
Yeah.
So they wrote things down so they didn't forget it.
And you could duplicate it kind of thing.
Because their things were so long.
Oh yeah. To be fair.
They would never remember it. So the idea of the score really was, the original reason was so they could remember stuff.
Yeah. That whole harmony there in terms of score writing, in terms of the old hymns, the anthems, the Handel's Messiahs, the Vivaldis and all that kind of stuff. I find it really interesting because it's so complex.
I was listening to, I think it was yesterday on the way home, I was listening to, I've got a classical album in my car. And I was listening to some stuff, I'm telling you, some of that classical stuff was like, whoa.
It's the fusing the Richard Smallwood and the Walter Hawkins kind of thing and putting together the classical and the gospel. And I think they did it, and Andre, I think they did it like the best, and Twinkie as well. That whole era kind of thing. Because I feel like they were just coming out of that classical into the gospel.
The contemporary stuff, yeah.
Or their black roots kind of thing. I like it more so in terms of the harmonies specifically.
I mean, for me, yeah, I agree. Yeah, but I like the whole thing, because when I listen to music, some of the dynamics that you hear in the music, and if you're listening to through a good PA system, or a good car system, some of the subsonic sounds that you hear from the orchestra that you wouldn't hear off your iPhone without headphones is phenomenal. The subsonic sounds, the upper register of the strings, and you get like the soft trumpets, soft trombones, the French horns, those things running.
It's something different. Yeah, like I can appreciate the best of both worlds, the gospel and the classical side. So like, I'm listening to some of the old hymns that we sing, so praise you, from the hymn book, like as full arrangements. Hearing the organs, like just the organs played together on the pipe organs, and then when you got the voices, like even the choir boys with the desk count stuff, I'm just like, this is amazing, especially hearing the bass on the organ. On the pipe organs, I think it's something different. I went to a church in Germany, and there was 5 organs in the church, and there were huge organs. Like, I'm not talking B3 Hammond. I'm talking
in the church.
Yeah, I'm talking pipe organs.
This church must have been huge.
I think it was called St. Michael's Cathedral in Germany. Yeah, and one of the amps were in the ceiling, and the guy was playing Sebastian Bach. And he was just going for gold. I was thinking, and he started it, and then you could hear him as he started to get louder and louder, and bringing all pulling out all the drawbars and stuff. I was thinking, wow. He kind of crept up on you. He was like eerily as he came through the bass notes and stuff. I was thinking, this is absolutely brilliant.
And the reason why it crept up on you, it's probably because he's reading music.
Yeah, and he's watching where it's supposed to swell and not. And I was thinking, and I think that's a lot to do, to read. And
well, I mean, it's probably second nature for him now.
Yeah.
But that's where we've missed out. You know, we long for that. I mean, I've watched Andre Crouch sing and play, and he's just phenomenal. So it'd be hard to say he's missed out because he's at the top of his tree.
Yeah.
Also, his formally trained, but we just didn't get that.
Yeah. Saying that though, but then obviously my mum's bunch, they all 6 of them had to learn to play the piano, like read music, whereas your side were more freelance, but like,
Go work.
yeah. But you did music though still, but you did it by ear. Was it more like not a hobby, but
Yeah, more by ear.
I think yours was more natural. Theirs was more forced. They had to do it.
Yeah. I think for me, my mum had too much on the plate to direct us and stick on us. By the time I was born, she was a single parent anyway, and to keep us focused on music, she couldn't manage it.
All of it, like there's so many of you as well.
Yeah. Us doing something in music for her was just about good enough.
But I'm glad that she got to see us, her grandchildren singing, playing in church. Like obviously me, Racine, Kanika, Casita, Shaquille, Lewis, Lauren, all of us were singing in the church choir and doing on the praise team. So I'm happy that. And then she like, yeah, I remember, you know, when we used to sing, when we used to go to her house and we used to sing, she'd always try and sing along with us, kind of thing.
She said to me, Byron, when BJ do anything, make sure you follow him and support him. For him time now, for your time done. Like,
she ended that quick, didn't she?
My biggest dream now, at some point in the future, but for us to collaborate on an event. And I think people would be interested in seeing a father and son event.
Yeah, good. Yeah. How many songs have you written?
Me. Great if I lost count. It's got to be, not that many to be honest, it's got to be near 100 plus.
That's loads. How you can say like
But,
say 100?
But I ain't got a clue where half of them went. So now I can only put my hand on about 20, 25.
Business is draining. I don't mind the energy wise because it's good energy. So I've been in the studio working with the singers and stuff. Like by the end of it, it's like it's a good night's sleep kind of thing. But I enjoy it. I enjoy that kind of.
It's the best job in the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, keep doing what you're doing and keep making us proud.
There's a lot to follow behind. Like people are like, oh, you're Byron's son. I'm like, yeah. You know, I'm like, it's like, oh yeah, he's great, isn't he? He's got good music. So like, I've got to keep it going. I want to get some music on in the frame. On a vinyl.
You mean as a
on the wall.
As a keepsake, or you actually won an award?
Well, no, I won an award, but like I also want a keepsake too.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna ask you 3 questions, this or that, and you have to answer as quick as possible. Musically, I want to try and remember this. They're off the top of my head. So, Andre Crouch or Marvin Winans?
Ah, gee, Andre Crouch.
Okay, Elvis Presley or Cliff Richard?
Elvis Presley. That was a bad question.
Luther Vandross or BB Winans?
Luther Vandross.
Commissioned or Winans? Byron, by the way, guys, he likes all of these people.
Apples and oranges there. They're just as good as each other, but taste-wise, I think the Winans are more my style of music.
As opposed to commissioned?
Yeah, they're more my style of music.
Karen Clarkshire or... No, forget that.
Now go on. Or...
Well, Kim Burrell will be Sicilian. That's a cliche competition.
Yeah, well, Karen Clark, mate.
Yeah.
I've listened to Kim Burrell. She's top notch. Top notch. But the Clark sisters.
But you've seen them, haven't you? Listen, I hate the fact that you've seen all my influences. You've seen every single one of them. I've never been around for any of them.
Clark sisters.
What was it like when you saw them guys?
With the mother. With the Clark sisters.
Yeah.
It's like Goose Pimples on steroids, mate. And that's when I was young, when I didn't really understand music. That's how good they are. You hardly enjoy the show because of what you're seeing, like.
Yeah. It's like everything's in awe and amazement.
You know what I mean? And
it's crazy because they're not far. They're your age group, more or less. Yeah. The only closest person I saw as a soloist, as a lady, was Sharon Palmer. She sings effortlessly, right? And nothing seems too hard for her.
Yeah, she's a fantastic singer.
I think to myself, I don't think I've heard anyone other than Bianca. I've never heard anyone that age group or below that sings that well, quite consistently.
There's Jayana.
And Jayana as well.
And me.
And you.
You should hear me when I was in I can't blow my own trumpet, forget that. Yeah, when I was at Town Hall.
Were you singing on a regular basis?
Yeah, when I was in a choir at Town Hall and I did King of Glory. Because we rehearsed it as just a choral song. But because when I wrote it, I wrote the ad-libs. So I was on the back line singing tenor with everybody else. When the song started with a live band, I'm like goosebumps. I'm like, whoa.
Just hearing something come to life finally.
Yeah, and I'm on the back row with the tenor, getting ready to sing with the tenor guys. So the song starts now. Why do the nations rage and the people a vain thing? And the rulers.
Yeah, you tucked it in there.
Yeah, I'd lived done that. And then I went on the second ad lib and then kind of goes, hold on. Stop, we got to start again. And the musician's like, what's going on here?
I'm thinking, what's going on?
What's going on here? Just now we're going to start again. That ad lib you can hear, that's Byron who wrote the song. That's him ad libbing. Let's get him out the front here. And I'm like, oh, that's not what I didn't mean this. Anyway, he called me out the front, gave me a mic, and started singing again. And I let it, man. And I tell you, if you can sing through a good mic in a town hall like that, a theatre, like cathedral, like town hall there, fantastic, phenomenal.
A lot of these opportunities are like time in the right place, right time, kind of situation.
Really. I never forget this. I try not to, and most of it I never forget. What I'm going through this is the best feeling ever, but I've still got to remember that same moment at the same time. I've got to keep my feet on the ground. Don't get big headed.
Yeah.
I did it one time. I sang. I forget where I sang, and it was going really, really well. And my voice was doing fantastic, and I felt so good. I got cocky on stage. My voice went whooshing. You know, have you ever heard somebody yodel?
Yeah.
Yo. I'm like, I got a yodel, but I didn't want it. I'm like, yo. I'm like, Lord, I heard you.
And when we was at one of the workshops last year, Donald Lawrence came. He said to the whole 600 people in the auditorium, he says, don't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
He says, when you're singing and it's going good, the crowd will pump you and pump you and pump you. And you're like, yeah, let me do this, let me do that. And he says, no, don't do it. Stick to the script. Only do what you practice.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they keep pressure you to go and go. As soon as you do that wrong thing, they'll sit down on you and boo you.
What I would say though, when you perform and enjoy a performance,
Yeah.
if you've rehearsed well, if you can enjoy it, because it's not always easy to enjoy it, because sometimes nerves can get better of you, or the things around you are going wrong, blah blah blah. But if you can enjoy it, you must enjoy it, because that's going to drive you even better to put on your better performance.
Yeah. Any last words?
Keep doing your good stuff. The stuff you've done so far, fantastic. Keep praising God.
I will definitely do that.
So this is what most people say is my best song ever. Running Through the Night.